Hi, sorry I couldn't be with you today, but I wanted to go over one of the things you're going to need for your exploration. Exploration 435 has you go from a word problem to a graph, then to an equations, but we haven't covered the skill of writing an equation for a graph, so I wanted to cover that here. So here you have the standard form of the sinusoidal equation. Y equals c plus a cosine bx minus d. Now you notice I also wrote it in sine because whether it really doesn't matter what trig function you're looking at, this format stays the same. C is your vertical shift up and down. A is your amplitude, and amplitude is measured from a center line, as so. B is related to the period of the function, and it's your horizontal shrink or stretch. So a period would be measured from peak to peak or trough to trough. I'm going to measure this one from peak to peak. And D is your horizontal shift. So that would be from the y-axis to this first peak if you're looking at the cosine function. So interesting thing is either one of these graphs can be written in either a sine or a cosine. The only difference would be the d value, because the d value is that horizontal shift. Because if you notice, if I take a different color, why that yellow is a cosine, generic shape. In blue, I have the generic, blue-green, I have the generic sine shape. So let me take the first graph and we're going to write a cosine and a sine. So we start by finding our c value. So that's taking the top point, which is at 4, and adding the bottom point, -4, and that gives you 0, and dividing by 2. So that means we have a center line. Let me put that here, right along this x-axis. So our c value is going to be 0. Now our a is measured from that center line to the top of the peak here. So here we have an a value of 4. Let me write the c value over here. C value is 0. So the next thing we want to do is look at our period. So we want to know what that b value is going to be. So let me get that pen again. So our b value, one full period, is going to be on this function from peak to peak, and it looks to be about 10. Sorry. So from here to here, let me move this a value down here. Oops. So from here to here, we have a distance from peak to peak of 10. So that makes our b value is 2 pi over the period. So b is going to be 2 pi over 10, or pi over 5. Now the last thing we want to look at is our d value. So I'm going to change the color of the pen. And our d value on your cosine function, as you can see highlighted in yellow, we want to look at that distance from where it would start, because a cosine usually starts on the y-axis. So we've got a distance here that looks to be about 2. So we have a shift to the right if we started it here. Say we were focusing on this one. A shift to the right of 2. So right 2. So we can write this equation, y equals 4 cosine of pi over 5. And let me move this. Let me move it down here. Y equals 4 cosine pi over 5 x, and since it was going to the right, it would be minus 2. And there is the cosine equation of the first graph. Now, if we wanted to write this in sine, let me erase this. Let's look at where a sine function would be. So a sine function is going to start and look like this. So it's going to repeat itself here. So A, B, and C are going to be the same. The difference is, and I'm going to do this one in blue, is this distance here. So we have the start of a new sine function, our new part of the pattern, that started at -1. So let's move this back up. So move that. And so for the sine, remember the only thing that changes between sine and cosine is that d value. So be y equals 4 sine. It's have the same period, same b value, same a value. But this time it moved to the left, because you can see that it started here. You can see it started here and it's going around. So it moved to the left 1. So that's going to be plus 1. And there you have a cosine and a sine equation, both from this first graph. So go ahead and work on 2, 3, and 4. I've got the answers posted to the front so you can check them out. And I hope you have a good day. Bye.